everybody. Welcome back to the Fin Factor. I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
This is episode number 98. We're doing it live again, as we're going to be doing probably for the rest of this season because it's just convenient and because COVID is making us do it. Aaron, 98, dude. How you doing?
Not too bad. 98, man. We're close to that 100 mark, which is nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Have to try to think of something special to do for that 100th episode. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe get the Sharks win would be nice. I think
maybe someone can put something in the comments of what we should do for number 100. How about that?
Write that down. We'll do that for roll call. I love it. So why don't we talk a little bit about the two games that happened this week so far? Both games, obviously, against Arizona in Arizona. The first game, not too shabby. I mean, see, the thing I want to bring up before we even go and talk about the games is the amount of kind of, I don't know, hatred that I'm seeing already this season for the Sharks, the new coaching staff, and a lot of the returning players and some of the newer ones as well. I just want to remind everybody, and Kevin Kerr did this too, that we're talking about a team that has some, newer, younger players on the team. I think there's 3 22-year-olds. We're talking about a team that has a new head coach with brand new assistant coaches. Or associate coaches, I guess. Randy Hahn made that blunder today as well. They didn't have a preseason. They didn't have much of a training camp. 2 weeks really is all they had. And it's implementing in a brand new system. So I just see a lot of the, angst, I guess, from the San Jose Shark fan base. And I get that. It's been a long time since we've had hockey, and you want to have your team jump back in and be something to brag about. But I think everybody kind of understands this roster isn't really a Stanley Cup winning roster. We're kind of along for the ride right now, but I think the way that the fans react, those same fans who have that expectation and say that the roster is not very good, are also saying that, gosh, they're terrible. So I don't know. It just seems like it's a little much out of game 2. Kind of your thoughts on that, Aaron? Where do you want to go with that?
Yeah, I mean, this team, I don't think the expectations were high for them to be a Stanley Cup winning team. I kind of laughed today because I tweeted something about how I was happy with the way that they're playing. Obviously, I mean, this was before they started losing the game today, but I was like, at least I like what I see. I like the new kind of system and the style of play. There's a lot more speed. There's a lot more urgency. They're not as predictable as they used to be. So I feel like they look like a better, stronger, faster team than they were last year. Part of that is probably just shaking, getting into the new system and shaking old habits and doing that. Plus 10 months off, and they're coming back with no preseason games. It's a lot different than practice games. Now, I'm not excusing everything because there was a lot of stuff that needs to get cleaned up. But at the same time, on Twitter today, I tweeted that, right? Like, hey, I like how they look and all that. And they go, well, it's against the worst team in the division, or one of the worst teams. I'm like, man, you can't even catch a break. Like, just relax. Like, I was like, just enjoy the games. Like, they're fun to watch. And then he came back saying oh, they're not fun to watch after they fired the best coach. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. I can't handle the hate. It's the second game of the season. Like, relax. I'm not saying they're going to win the Stanley Cup, but what I'm more excited about is because it's such a young team, it is like almost a transition year of the younger guys kind of stepping up and taking bigger roles. And the experience that they're getting this season, and hopefully, I'm still hopeful. I'm still, if hopeful is the right word, I think this team could put it together to get that 4th playoff spot in the division. And I think that would do wonders for the team down the road next season. Not this season, but at the same time, you never know. If you get to the dance, you have a chance, right? I think that's one of our sayings that we always have on the show. So there is a chance, I guess, that if there's a chance at the Cup, obviously, if they make it to the dance. So I'm not that pessimistic on this team as much as others.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that for me is kind of the goal, right? I imagine we're going to lose a lot of games this season as well. And I imagine, there's going to be some sloppy play. But for me, it's, I'm taking that with the understanding that that's probably going to be the case. We're not going to win every game. I get that. We may not even win the majority of games, like, 75% or whatever it is. I mean, that'd be a really good team. If we got close to 500 and we were knocking on the door, with maybe at the trade deadline, I'd be pretty happy with where the team's at. They've got some big names on the roster, yes, and they should be a much better team with those names producing. But all things considered, again, you can't be part of the fan base saying this team is horrible and they're bad and then expecting them to play extremely well at the same time. So I don't know. For me, it's I think just calm it down a little bit, guys. We're 2 games in, and I think it was somebody wins. I'm going to use my glasses here because it's hard to see back here. Isaiah,
old man, look at you, old man.
exactly. 2 games in, and people are giving up. And he says over here that tired of Jones hate. Okay, that's fair enough. We'll get to that in a bit. People need to focus on the atrocious face-offs, which we will do that after the first portion of this. But let's talk about game 1 because that was kind of a bright spot there, I think. Game 1, I think Martin Jones looked pretty sharp. I think a lot of people were looking at him going, whoa, okay, he might have turned a page. Even Kevin Kurz had wrote an article. I think the title of it was something like, is this a brand new Jones? And I think that was fair and safe to say. Yeah, I think Jones, looked a lot more comfortable. I think Scott Hannon kept saying he just seems so much tighter in net. So I think it was good things for Martin Jones for that game at least. We'll get to the second game in just a bit. But he looked a lot better, Aaron.
Yeah, I thought he looked a lot more sharp. I mean, 2 goals in the last, 4 minutes or something like that to tie up the game. That last one for sure is not his fault. Those guys should have been cleared out in front of the net, and Phil Kessel got lucky with a puck pretty much right in front of him on his stick. He batted it out and put it in the net to tie the game with 3 seconds left. Jones deserved to win, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in the comments. That save in overtime, a 2-on-0 save, like that's ridiculous. I saw that coming. You could see it coming, and you're like, oh no, this is it. This is the end. The Sharks are just going to blow this game. There goes a regulation overtime win to Arizona, someone that obviously every game is going to be against the division, so you need these points. And he came up with a save, and I'm glad the Sharks hustled back to get the rebound, not go, they're going to score, and then they miss, and then they get the puck back, and it's still a 2-on-0. So, in fact, the Sharks came back, I think, the other way and had a good scoring chance. They didn't score, obviously, but that would have been crazy, like to have that incredible 2-on-0 save. And it looks even better when you watch it on the replay in slow-mo, how quickly he gets across from one side of the goal to the other. I mean, just watching him do that, I pulled my groin. It was in so much pain. It's like, there's no way I could stretch across like that. That's incredible. It's a very athletic move, especially doing it on ice. So hats off to him. I thought he played well. I thought he deserved to have better numbers than what showed up because his save percentage ended up being .919, which I feel like should have been higher. I mean, if he didn't give up that goal at the last second, that would have been a much better save percentage, much better goals against average, yada yada yada. So,
yeah, and to that point about clearing the crease, that was kind of what had them blowing that lead. Is people, same old Martin Jones letting the goal in with 3.2. Guys, if you take a look at it, and most times you don't hear me being too critical of Erik Karlsson. Like, I understand he's a phenomenal skater and one of those very good heads-up passers. He's very elusive with the puck. I'm not on the I hate Erik Karlsson train, right? At the same time, he was kind of just standing there, and I noticed, watching him a little bit more, he does kind of stand around, it seems like at times, and that was just one of them. I think he could have tied up a stick, but he was in the right spot, just not doing the right thing, I think. So definitely would like to see a little bit more effort out of Erik Karlsson on a play like that. It just seems like he's very lackadaisical out there. Like, he knows he's a good skater, and he knows if he gets the puck, he's going to be able to glide through people. But when he doesn't have the puck, it seems like he's just kind of gliding sometimes. And that was true for game 2 as well, which, again, we'll get back to in just a second here. But I would have really liked to see him tie that stick up or make a more – drastic effort to prevent that from going in. So again, there's some things, Martin Jones can maybe do a little bit better, but again, it comes down to the defense around him. Sometimes they just need to pick it up. And if you don't, well, you're kind of leaving your goalie out to dry. I don't care who it is. It could be Dubnyk, could be Dell. It could be, Martin Jones. So I definitely some things that could happen better in the defensive zone. And it's kind of echoing the same sentiments that we had last season. So, I know Bugner has kind of implemented that new system, and I'm sure guys are still kind of acclimating to it. So hopefully that gets better. It can only get better from the season, hopefully. It can't get worse. Please don't get worse, right? So anyway, your thoughts really on the blown 2-goal lead. Was it really something that maybe Jones could have prevented, or is this another one of those breakdown of defenses?
Definitely the breakdown of defense. I mean, the Sharks – the good news about this breakdown, I guess, is it's learnable. It's a teachable moment that the coaches can sit down and break down the video and go, okay, this is what you need to do next time. So hopefully these problems will be solved within the next week or two. These guys are getting into, I want to say, call it game shape. It's a lot different than when you're playing practice against your own teammates. When you're playing games against other guys, other teams, that the speed is a lot different. Everything's a lot different. It gets a little nastier, especially when you're playing these 2-game series and you see the same guys 2 nights in a row, or every other night. It gets chippier, kind of like the playoffs, because you're sick of this guys. You're kind of like, you want to not hurt them, but you want to make them feel it the next day. So Curtis Brown had a great point after the first game when they tied that goal up. I think it might have been before overtime or maybe after the game. How there's no way that those guys should have been even on the ice. You got 3 seconds left to go. You take a penalty. I mean, you cross-check the heck out of the guy. You make sure they're flat on their butts and not getting the puck. Because if you take a penalty with 3 seconds left, what's the worst that could happen is they get a face-off, right? That puts the puck even further away than where it is currently. Just take those guys out, trip them up, sweep the deck, get them out of there. Absolutely clear that crease. I think the Sharks need to do a better job. What?
When you said sweep the deck, I swear I thought you were going to say sweep the leg.
Oh, well, that too. Well, whatever. Just clear out that crease in front. I don't think the Sharks do a good job of boxing out the other team. We saw it again today in today's game. I thought they should have done a better job. Maybe not so much take a penalty, but definitely make it be known that this is not your space and you need to get out of here. And that would have saved, that would have gave them a regulation win and would have gave Arizona 0 points instead of giving them 1 in the shootout. So I was very upset about that. That's like, to me, it's common sense. That's hockey knowledge there that you should have, that those players should have known. Clock management kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's okay to take a penalty, and that would have definitely been one of those times. But hey, the Sharks do come away with 2 points. They give one up to the Arizona Coyotes. But anytime you can walk away with 2, be happy with the effort. Be happy that you've got some points in the bank. So we take a look at the guys that scored. Tomas Hertl potted 2 of them. And then Evander Kane. Oh, my goodness. That goal.
Such a power move.
He used his strength. He used his speed. And it's not every day you get a player that has both like that. And he's one of those guys that has both. He can blow you away. And if he doesn't, he can push you away. And you saw, I think it was Chikrin, had his hand on Kane's side. And if you take a look at the replay, you'll actually see in the background, the referee actually has his hand up. There's a penalty there on that play. So he just powered his way past him. And then he makes a nice little move, pull back, goes top shelf, short side on him. And gosh, I mean, what more can you say about a move like that? That's the type of thing that Evander Kane can bring. And all of the speculation about will he be able to play? I mean, we did the same thing. Is this going to affect his play? Blah, 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 right? We try not to get into the personal life. We try to keep it on the ice. But as the guys in the booth even said, or in the studio, I should say, he answered that question right away in game 1. Came out. I think he had both assists on the Hertl's goals, and then he had the goal himself. So phenomenal job by Kane, stepping up, doing what he needs to do, and showing that he's ready for this season. So hats off to him. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Kane absolutely was a beast in that game. I thought him and Martin Jones probably the 2 best players. Hertl definitely right up there with him. I thought Hertl had a very strong game. I mean, obviously he had 2 goals and he had a couple more chances. He could have gotten the hat trick. I think Hertl, it was great for Hertl to see, because that's the first game he had played in over a year, or close to a year, since he blew out his knee in January, I think, last year. I can't remember the exact date. So good on him to come back and strengthen up his leg, and that's not easy to come back to. But Kane, going back to Kane, that power move was unreal. Not just the speed and the power, but also the skill, because he lifted it up on his forehand. So it was a beautiful, that's a highlight reel goal. That might be goal of the year in the first game of the season. Think about it that way. But I thought Tomas Hertl, I was very happy with him. I was kind of a little, I don't want to say disappointed, but Coach Schur needed to do a little bit more out there, I think. So, but I mean, what they were talking about was it Hertl, Kane, and Leonard? That's the line, right? The first game, they were dominant. They looked great. Today's game, I think it switched a little bit towards Coach Schur's line. He was a little bit more dominant, I think, than the Hertl line. And it's interesting to see, because the Sharks had changed up their lineup a little bit. They switched a few of the guys from game 1 to game 2. And I think Arizona rolled out the exact same team. I don't think they made one other than their goalie. They played Ranta instead of Kemper, and I think that was the only change they made. But yeah, I mean, we'll get into the goalies in a minute, but
I want to bring up a couple comments here. First, I was going to read the other one by Anthony Sanchez, but I'm going to read this one too. The shoe is clocked and ready to be thrown. Okay. Don't worry, Anthony. I don't think we're going to go there tonight. It's just happening in the comments right now. So just don't read them out loud. You should be okay.
Too soon for
the other one by Anthony Sanchez, though, I'm judging these two games like a preseason game. And I think that's a good way to look at it. Unfortunately, the points do matter now. So it's not quite like a preseason game, but yeah, no, I could definitely see how one might look at it in that way, that the team is still learning. Again, there wasn't much of a training camp. There wasn't much of an opportunity to get these guys acclimated to the system prior to. So I could definitely see how one might look at it that way. Unfortunately, again, the points do count. So there was that one. And then right above Anthony Sanchez comment there, Nicholas Egan, well, at least we're not the Kings who gave up the tying goal with 1 second left tonight and lost it in OT. See, it could be worse, guys. Gave up the tying goal with 3.2 seconds left, and then we won it. So,
hey, did you see what happened yesterday with St. Louis?
Oh, the 8-0.
8-0. That's a beating, man.
Here's the problem with that.
I know.
They're our next opponent.
It's in my notes.
We'll get to that. Don't worry about it. Okay, let's talk about game 2 then. Are we good to go move on to game 2?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that. Okay, so game 2, same opponent. I kind of like this little back-to-back format. The not back-to-back games necessarily, but the opponent, same opponent. It's very baseball-esque, and I kind of like it. You know, it's gives an opportunity for you to build that little tiny rivalry and then move on. And of course, because everything's divisional, you certainly get to play all those teams over and over again throughout the course of the season anyway. But just having them, one game after the other, I think there's just some extra animosity that can happen there. Now, the Sharks won't be playing the Coyotes until much later on in the season, unfortunately. But just, again, that one game and then the next game you see the same guys that maybe are a little peeved at. Not so bad. I kind of like that format. In any case, Sharks get the power play goal early. Yeah, Donato got on the score sheet for the first time as a Shark. Awesome tip. That was a kind of a weird one by Timo. I noticed Timo does this a lot. He gets his back to the net, maybe on his backhand sometimes, and then he kind of wheels around. In this case, it wasn't on his backhand, but he just wheels it around to his forehand side and then fires it at the net. It's almost like a blind shot, like he's just kind of guessing. But in this case, it happened to work out. Donato was there, got a little stick on the puck there, fluttered in. So, congrats to Ryan Donato on getting your first goal there, kind of silencing some of the critics. I thought he played phenomenal tonight. I think he was probably one of the Sharks' best players tonight. He was up and down the ice in both zones, working hard, churning those legs, creating opportunities. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, I'm happy to see he's doing fairly well so far early on. I'm glad to see him get a goal too. I mean, that would really hurt if he was struggling to get his first Sharks goal. At least he got out of the way early. It was a nice tip, like you said, on the power play, and it was also early. It was only 3-4 minutes into the game. Let's see that. Whoops, that's the wrong game. 3:34 in the first, so it was early. It was good for the Sharks to get on the scoreboard early. In the first game, the Sharks had the lead the whole time until Arizona tied it. Arizona never led that game. This game, the opposite happened. The Sharks got the lead, and then the Coyotes scored 2 goals and kind of quick together. It was 12.5 in and then 14:40, so 2 minutes and 10 seconds later, they got 2 goals. But the good thing that I like to see is the Sharks responded in less than a minute after they went up 2-1. The Sharks tied it 2-2. So it's good to see them battle back and tie it up going into the second period. Now, the rest of the game, the second period, the Coyotes went up 2 more goals, and then they scored another one early in the third. That was kind of the dagger. I thought the Sharks are going to at least pressure and get some chances and come back early in the third, but it was not to be. So, but again, at least at the end there, was it Hurdle? Hurdle got another power play goal. So 2 power play goals and a regular 5-on-5 goal. But I don't know. I was kind of happy to see them, at least in the first period, battle back and tie that game up pretty quickly. That made me feel like it was a different Sharks, not just rolling over like last season. So there's a little more fight to them, I think, than before.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I think it was definitely nice them just bouncing straight back and going straight for it. There was a point in the game Bugner had said, or Randy had said, that Bugner got a little animated on the bench, and the team looked like they responded after that. We'll call it tongue lashing, I guess. That next shift, they jumped back out there and looked like they were hustling pretty hard. So good to see that, because this was something that we had talked about with last season when Bob Buchner took over and Pete DeBoer got let go, was that the Sharks maybe had kind of lost Pete DeBoer's voice, if you will. In other words, his voice wasn't kind of commanding them anymore, right? It just wasn't getting through. So to hear that he had kind of got on their case in the middle of the game, right on the bench there, and they responded to it, it kind of tells me that Bob Buchner does have the team's respect right now, and he does have kind of the locker room, if you will, like they're listening to him. So I mean, all good things there. Now it could just be a case of, you know, some of the younger guys just, you know, don't know him that well and are just like, okay, we better step it up, you know. They're still fighting for their positions too, right? So that could just be the case. But again, for me, it's good seeing that there was a response to his urgent call for it. So happy to see that. Happy with the way that they were able to respond in those key moments. Not happy with the overall game, of course. Could have been a lot better. And one of the areas that they really could have been better in was faceoffs. Apart from Patrick Marleau, who I think was 80% in the faceoff dot, 4 out of 5, everyone else was less than 50% in the faceoff dot. Now, take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, because I think 3 of them were 1 for 3. That's 33%. If they win one of those, all of a sudden it jumps to 66%. So the sample size is very small. But again, those guys did not win more than half of those faceoffs, even if it was only the 3. So beyond Patrick Marleau, again, I think Logan Couture was next in line at 45%, probably like 5 for 11. I can't do math. But it just, the faceoffs need to be a lot better. They got a couple goals. I think it was 2 goals right off of faceoffs. And, you know, when the goalie screen like that, again, I don't care who it is, you're making it very difficult for him to make that save. So winning faceoffs is a big deal. And like Bob Buchner had said during the press conference, it's not just the guy in the faceoff dot, it's the guys around him. If they lose that draw, you guys got to hustle to that puck. You guys got to hustle to your positions. You got to take the man. You got to take the stick. You got to get the rebound, you know, all those things. And when it's not all coming together like that, that's kind of the result that you're going to get.
Yeah, faceoffs are going to be a big deal, and I think part of that is because we have a younger team. We don't have a lot of established faceoff guys. Now, Couture and Hurdle are probably going to take the majority of them. Kane might have to step in, or Meyer have to step in if they get tossed or something. But those guys should be better than where they are, and I'm sure they know it. Now, this is something that I can see Handemark making the lineup in maybe the next week to see it on the 4th line center. Maybe even 3rd line center, depending on how he plays. But he was the faceoff king in the league that he came from. Was it? I'm gonna say Sweden. It's probably wrong. I think that's where he was before. That always gets me in trouble. Sweden, Switzerland. I don't know. One of those places. But anyway, he that's what he's kind of known for. And I was kind of excited about him just for that reason alone, is just to win faceoffs, especially if he's going to be your penalty killer and you can win that faceoff. That saves your penalty killer so much energy. And kills a lot more penalties. So, I mean, not having Joe Thornton take any faceoffs anymore, he used to be really good at it. He's gone this year, which he scored his first goal tonight. I don't know if you saw that, as a Toronto Maple Leaf. Kind of happy and kind of sad about it, but awesome. Good for him to keep scoring. I mean, I love it. He celebrates every goal like it's his last, because it just might be. You know, think about it that way, right? You don't know how many goals you're going to score, so you got to celebrate, especially when you know this is going to be the end of your career in the NHL.
And the funny thing is, like, he scored his first goal as a Leaf, yes, but it was also his first point, which is unorthodox for Joe. You would think his first 10 points would be assists. So, Joe, what happened, man? Well, how come you didn't do that with us? Like, come on, geez, put the puck in the net, bud. But yeah, no, more than happy to hear that Jumbo's doing well, at least over in Toronto. Maybe the team isn't doing quite so well, but you know, good for him. I'm happy to see him thriving in a new environment. So, Aaron, where'd you want to go from here? Are you still talking about game 2? I think there was what? Real quick, Nizov. Everybody was telling me, no, it's Nizov. I said, hey, you could be wrong, because it was just Kevin Kerr saying that, or whoever it was. Sheng Peng was saying Pasnichuk, and I was saying it's Pashnuk. Guess what, folks? It's not Nizov. It's Knizhov.
Knizhov.
There's a whole lot of weird names, and I'm learning them too. But yeah, and unless you hear it from like Dan Ruzanowski or one of the announcers, I would not think that you maybe got the name correct. I was at least prefacing with it. I don't know if I've got this correct or not. But anyway, Knizhov, You thought he played really well today. He looks like an NHL player.
Well, maybe not really well. He was a -2 for 10 minutes of ice time, but I thought he made some plays that that I was kind of impressed with. Some of the loose puck plays, he was able to get there. There's a little bit more speed, but he's a bigger guy, so he's able to push him off. And I thought he did okay, but he's obviously going to have to clean that up. If he wants to get his minutes up, I don't want him to be that, like in game one, he was paired up with Milosh. Was it? Milosh had 5 minutes of time in game one, that's not going to do it. And he had 10. He had double that. He had double the amount of time. But I thought I could see something there at least. Like I could see maybe he's not going to be there this year, but the building blocks are there. I think he could piece together and be a bottom third pairing in the NHL. Like he seemed like he belonged. Other than not boxing out some people in front, but that's just kind of the Sharks' MO. But they kind of need him to be that guy because they don't have any other ones that do that. So him and Middleton both, they had some turnovers in the back end, and you saw the puck get into their net right away. So again, I think this is stuff that's going to get cleaned up. Part of it is they haven't played in so long. It is kind of like preseason games. I mean, we know these count, but I think what you're going to see across the NHL, I mean, look at St. Louis lost 8-0. That's in a couple of weeks, that's not going to happen. You're not going to see that. So players are going to settle down a little bit more, and the referees are going to sit down. How many penalties have you seen get called in the last 2 games, right? Kind of ticky-tacky stuff in a way. Just like the regular season, in a normal season, when it starts in October, you always see October, November, there's very heavy amounts of power plays. A lot of penalties are given out. The refs are trying to establish themselves and establish the play, and they want the players to know, okay, this is not okay to get away with. And then as the season goes on, that kind of gets less and less. So the first couple weeks, you're going to see probably this first month of January, you're going to see a lot of penalties being called. There's like the one today on Kane on the hit on Ekman Larson. I thought he just completely outmuscled Ekman Larson. He just kind of took a weird tumble. He hit his head right into where the boards and the glass meet. So it was this edge that hit him right in the face, knocked his visor into his face. He was bleeding, so it seemed worse than it was. But I didn't think it was a penalty warranted on Kane. I thought that was a almost like a Joe Pavelski-ish 5-minute major call. Like that shouldn't have been a 5-minute major, but he got hurt pretty bad. So, and it was their captain, like arguably one of their better players. So I don't know. It's kind of sloppy right now. I think it's overall you're seeing a lot of sloppiness. But again, I think this is stuff that they can clean up. They're going to do a lot of video work, and I think they have a good team to do that with too, like a good team of coaches for video breakdown. They do a lot of that stuff. So definitely, I'm not too worried about it. I think it's gonna clean up in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly hope so. Rocky Thompson, known for coaching the younger guys, being the AHL coach there for the Chicago Wolves, I think is what it was. But he's going to talk to these young guys, and he's going to relate it to them in a way that they can understand. And it's going to take time. Again, somebody had mentioned earlier in the chat that it's kind of like looking at it like a preseason game. These are opportunities to learn. Again, the points do matter, but at least you're getting that opportunity to kind of understand what you're supposed to be doing properly and get the reps in outside of practice. So it's too bad that the points do count and you have to learn while the points are counting. But again, this is a 10-month layoff for a bunch of guys that were on the team, and then a bunch of guys that haven't been on the team before who are just trying to learn this whole thing. You're asking a whole heck of a lot from Knizhov and Middleton, especially as a pairing, because they're both not NHLers. They're proving themselves right now, obviously, but they're not established NHLers, and they're partners. So I think it was one of the first shifts I saw. It was a bad pass, and then it was like a 2-on-1 going the other way, and you see him hustling back, and it was just like, okay, well that's what's going to happen. And you saw later on in the game that Knizhov was paired up with, I think it was either Carlson or Burns, and then Middleton was paired up with either Carlson or Burns for a shift or two here and there just to get their reps in. So hopefully they do a much better job and they learn quickly. I'm really hoping that they do, because you can't have Erik Karlsson playing half the game and Brent Burns playing half the game and expect that they're not going to get tired. At some point during the season, they're going to get tired. So you do need to soak up some of those minutes with guys that you can rely on. And if Middleton is not that guy, you said Knizhov, you thought maybe looked like an NHL defenseman, bottom six pairing guy. I don't know that I thought Middleton looked like a bottom six pairing this game at least. So, hopefully again he learns and he learns fast. I see you shaking your head. Is that you're disagreeing with me, or are you shaking your head in agreement?
Middleton. No, I'm shaking my head at Middleton. Like I'm agreeing with you. I just don't see Middleton as. To me, he's going to be that forever journeyman seventh defenseman that's almost too good for the AHL, but not good enough for the NHL. He's just stuck in purgatory right there. So I feel bad for the guy too, because I feel like he didn't get too good of a fair shake last year with the injuries. So I think this year's another year for him to prove it, and I just don't see it. I still don't see it. Still too early. It's only the second game, but to me, I'd much rather see other players get some opportunities there.
Yes, I'm also in that boat. I'm going to look at the comments real quick here. Noah Claxton says, sign Aaron and Paul to league minimum. Take some faceoffs for us. Yeah, that would never happen, Noah. I'm worth way more than league minimum, so that's just not going to be.
I'll gladly take the league minimum.
Oh man, okay. And then there was definitely another one here that I was. We still have one guy to try out for D. I want to see Pashnuk. Yes, I also want to see Pashnuk. I would love to see him get the opportunity. Quite frankly, I don't think that he's really ready for it yet. But if they think that he is, I'd be more than happy with that. That would be absolutely phenomenal. And Matt seems to agree with me. Yes, on Pashnuk. Awesome. Let's see. There was one other one. Personally not expecting the D to be better if or when Šimik returns Monday. I think the D will be better with Šimik back in the lineup, because if you take a look at the guys that they have currently, the only two that we're talking about that maybe are having non-NHLer moments, and I know there's some flack against our big guys, I get that, but in terms of experience, the two guys that we're talking about are the two rookies, right? Middleton and Knizhov. You throw Šimik in there, and one of those guys basically rides the pine. You're automatically talking about a team that has much more experience on the blue line. So I don't know. I think if Šimik does come back in, I think he is going to make an impact. Now, his knee will be a factor, obviously, but if he's cleared to play, that means they think he's good enough on his knee to make an impact. Otherwise, they wouldn't put him out there and risk that. And they would just stick with Middleton or whoever else the case, who else presents themselves. Now, one of the things I did like hearing was that they mixed up the lines in the practice this morning, not to just kind of mix things up for the game, but to give the guys that were on the taxi squad and who had done really well in camp but didn't get to play in game one, give them the opportunity to get another look. And that's probably why Middleton got his start. I think in that practice he might have, outshined a little bit, which is fine. So, I like that the younger guys are going to get that opportunity if they deserve the opportunity. And I'm just not sure that Middleton is that guy right now. Hopefully he blossoms. That would be great. But if Šimik does come back to the fold, yes, I absolutely believe we'll be better defensively. Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, the good thing about Šimik is that you could put him on that third pairing so his knee isn't going to get worked so much and he can get that strength back up. Maybe, start him off with 10, 12, 14 minutes a night rather than giving him 20, 22 with Burns or something. So he can kind of work his way back into the lineup and work that knee and make sure that it's healthy and that he's ready to go. That also automatically makes our bottom pairing a more palatable play, if you will, so that they can. That's a tongue twister. So that he gets a little bit, gets a little more ice time than, let's say, Middleton. Or Middleton would probably play with him though, because Middleton's a right-handed shot, and they need that third right-handed shot. So it's tough to say. Do you like Miloš or Middleton better? Because Miloš is a right-handed shot, isn't he?
Regardless, I'm going to disagree with you right there. You don't need a right-handed shot, because when you're playing the big two on right that many minutes, you're only sacrificing a right-handed shot for a handful of minutes a game. So I don't believe that you do. I think you play your best sixth guy, whoever that may be. And if you need a right shot, you know who to go to.
So we've seen Ferraro play on that right side last season for a little bit. So it's not like he couldn't do it.
Absolutely.
I'm sure he'd be like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll play.
I'm gonna look at Matt once again here in the comments. Us fans put a lot of faith in Šimik to fix the D last year, and that never happened. I don't think he's the savior, but the D should be better with him in the lineup. Yes, we did put a lot of faith in him last year, and it didn't happen. he wasn't playing bottom 6 minutes. He was playing top 4 alongside Burns. So in a more limited capacity against lesser lines, we would say, in terms of those line matchups, right? I think, yeah, he would make a bigger impact than last season trying to play top 4 where he maybe wasn't 100%. So if he comes back, even if he's not 100% and he's good enough and better than Middleton, I think he still makes an impact as the bottom pairing defenseman, not necessarily playing right next to Burns, because I think Ferraro has earned that, and I think he should and would stick, especially if if Schmidt can make that bottom pair a little more steady. I think wouldn't be such a bad thing, and help them soak up a few more minutes, knowing that he's back there to help out and give Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns a little bit of time off of the game. Aaron, do you want to jump past game 2 now? I think we already kind of did, but was there anything else you wanted to talk about to kind of wrap that up before we jump into the upcoming games?
Sure. What do you think about Rudolph Balcers coming back to the team? We didn't really talk about this offline, but he has we claimed him off of waivers, right?
Yeah.
So the Karlsson trade is null and void, right?
The Karlsson trade, I don't know how anybody can complain about it now. We're getting pieces back, for free. What do you want?
Do you think Balcers are going to crack the lineup? There's some questions in here saying Balcers are claimed to make EK65 look better. Where was the other one? Someone else had talked about it too, about putting him in. I can't see it now. Oh, right above that. Where does Balcers fit in? Does he bump Nieto down to the 4th line?
Does he fit in?
That 3rd line was kind of talked heavily in camp, right? During camp, like how well they were playing, but it hasn't translated into much in the games. They've looked okay. They haven't looked terrible, but I thought they were going to at least put a chip in a goal in one of these 2 games, and they didn't really do that. So maybe they'll change it up. Maybe not. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't see him on the 3rd line.
Here's my thoughts on Balcers. Okay. If he was a guy, and I see something here, I'll put the glasses back on here. It says Balcers was claimed to make it. No, that wasn't it. Balcers will be breathing down LeBank's shoulders. No, he will not, because Balcers was put on waivers by Ottawa. Okay. He was put on waivers by Ottawa. If he was somebody who was going to breathe down LeBank's shoulders, they wouldn't have put him on waivers. So I don't think he's the guy that's going to step in and all of a sudden become the savior for LeBanc is on the 1st line. He's not going to jump in and play 1st line minutes. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. He'd be lucky to be playing 4th line minutes. If anything, he'll probably be on the taxi squad for a while. That's
yeah. Balcers to me is that guy, almost like another purgatory situation where he's kind of too small to be a 3rd and 4th line, but he's not skilled enough or better enough to be on the top 2 lines. So where do you play a guy like that? Do you put him on the 3rd line? You put him on the 4th line? It's kind of it doesn't really work. So I feel like he's going to get stuck in the taxi squad or get sent down to the minors so he can get some AHL time. But I just don't see him being an NHLer that sticks, unfortunately.
Well, you can't put him back on waivers because he'll get claimed by somebody else, or like someone else just said, Ottawa would reclaim him. So yeah, he's on your team. He'll definitely be on the taxi squad. I do not see him stepping into a role with the San Jose Sharks as it sits right now. I think they have enough guys that have already kind of started acclimating to the system, and I think they've got him maybe beat out right now. But who knows? Again, could be a great surprise. So if he pops in and learns the system really quickly and whatnot, yeah, sure, he might be breathing down somebody's shoulders. It ain't going to be LeBank's shoulders, though. So we'll see how it goes, but we'll keep an eye on that one too. All right, are we done with that one? We want to talk about the upcoming games, or was there somebody else you wanted to call out in the comments there?
Let's just take Maxim Markov here. I was watching Ottawa. Josh Norris's performance is making the EK trade worse and worse. All right, let's do this hypothetical situation. Before we traded for Karlsson, the Sharks were really trying to land Tavares hard. You remember that? Probably like a couple weeks beforehand, right? Sharks don't land him. Sharks are terrible. They're never going to do anything. You should fire Doug Wilson. Okay, let's say we never traded and got Karlsson. Do you think the Sharks would have made it as far as they did to the Western Conference Finals that year? Probably not. I don't think so. So then you have the argument of those same people saying, fire Doug Wilson because he's not doing anything in this team, and the team is just mediocre. He took a chance. He took a chance and Carlson's here for the long term. I don't think he's that terrible. So, yeah, we gave up some assets, and good on Ottawa for kind of almost not fleecing. I wouldn't say they're fleeced the Sharks, but I'd say that they had a lot of insurance options for getting rid of Carlson because there was so many conditional stuff that was involved with it. I think it was very well created by Ottawa, which is surprising because I didn't think Ottawa was that.
And we've said this before. Sorry, we've said this before. If Erik Karlsson made the team so much worse that we would have had the 3rd overall pick. Okay, if we didn't get Karlsson and we went with somebody else, anybody else, would those same people still be saying, well, we're such a bad team? And if we were, okay, fine, you might have a point about us having the 3rd. But if we would have been better off without him, we wouldn't have had the 3rd overall pick. We would have been much higher, in which case, right. No, we're still not getting Stützle or however you say the guy's name.
Matt F. There's a great comment here. Josh Norris had no place on our team on the Sharks because we weren't going to play him at the 3rd line center with Couture and Hurdle taking up 1 and 2. Norris is better than either of them, so I still think the trade makes sense. It's hard to see when the Sharks don't win a cup, right? Now, and then Karlsson signs this giant contract with the Sharks. He's going to have a giant magnifying glass on him at all times. Now imagine if Karlsson signed for $7 million, $8 million. Would it hurt as much? Probably not. Would you be on him as much? Probably not. Would the Sharks have more cap space? Yes. Would they do anything with it? Who knows? It's too many variables here. So it is what it is. Karlsson's on the team, and we've already moved on. At least the Sharks have their 1st round pick this year, so that's a good move. I'm over it. I'm tired of going over this almost every show.
Every show, it's on Twitter all the time. It's on Facebook. I'm almost ready to leave the Facebook group. Honestly, it's just too toxic, and it's the same stuff all over and over again. I'm reading. I don't even respond to it anymore because it's like, what's the point? So yeah, I think you're right. Hey, it is what it is. Again, for that guy, if you wanted his services, that's what he was going to cost, and that's what we ended up paying. So regardless of what he gets paid, you just look to him to kind of help generate offense. And I thought for the most part, he had some really good moments offensively. He had some really crisp passes that some guys, it happened last season where the puck was exploding off of their stick because they just couldn't handle it. And that actually happened a couple of times in this last game here. You saw a nice stretch pass from Karlsson and it just kind of popped off the stick. So, hopefully those types of things get ironed out and they kind of can connect better as teammates and whatnot. And, we'll see how it goes. But, again, complaining about it is not really going to do anything. Unfortunately, he's part of the team. And all you can do is hope that he's going to, gel better with some of the teammates. And I personally, I would like to see a little bit more effort in the skating. Not when he has the puck. Without the puck, I'd like to see a little bit more effort. There was one instance where I was, oh, there he is. He's on his horse now. He was getting back to play defense. And he was really on his horse and hustling back. And he's pretty good with keeping his stick out and kind of influencing with the stick. We've heard, I think it was Jamie Baker say that many, many, many times years ago about just having your stick out in the lane and kind of influencing the play by having your stick in a lane. I think Erik Karlsson's good with that. He's not going to be the physical force. He's not going to be able to shut people out, but he certainly should be able to at least tie up a stick. So I like to see a little bit more effort on his part there and maybe just some harder skating. It seems like he's doing smaller pushes, little pushes, gliding, kind of standing around in front of the net. I noticed a lot. He stands around in front of the net defensively quite a bit, almost like he's waiting for the shot so that the goalie can make the save, and then he can get the puck more easily and skate it out himself or just flip it out himself. Whatever. He doesn't want to have to do the work to go skate to it. He wants the puck to get to him, have the goalie make the save, and then he just can walk away with it, So just some little criticisms here and there. I think he could definitely put in a much better effort when he doesn't have the puck. So there's that. But enough harping on Erik Karlsson and some of the woes of the Sharks. We all know that this isn't going to be a season where we're cup favorites, and that should be okay. We should be able to look at this and take it for what it is and just enjoy watching some hockey after 10 months off, So there you go. In fact, we'll be watching more hockey Monday night at 5 p.m. against the St. Louis Blues in St. Louis. Now, this team is going to be a little ticked off, we'll say. They just got blown out. Was it Colorado 8-0 the last game that they played? They're going to come back with something to prove. The coach is going to stomp a mud hole. So it's going to be one of those games where, gosh, you better come prepared because they're going to come out angry. What do you think about that game?
I think it's going to be rough, and I think Devin Dubnyk is going to be starting in goal. What I was happy about tonight's game, or today's game, was that Dubnyk got in the last, almost the whole third period, most of the third period. What's good for that is he's kind of shaking off the rust and getting some quality game time in. Because again, the game speed is a lot different than practice, and Dubnyk hasn't played in a while either. So at least he shook off the rust in this game. So going into St. Louis, it won't be so scary is not the right word, but you kind of get those butterflies. You haven't played in so long. So hopefully those are all gone. Now, nobody wants to play a team that just got beat 8-0, especially in this day and age, because all they're going to be doing from today and tomorrow until Monday is watching tape of what they did wrong, what they need to do. That coach is going to hammer it into them that they're going to be super tight, super almost perfect, right? They're going to come out, because if they're not, they're going to get chewed out. So this next game is going to be tough, and it's really going to be tough for Dubnyk. I kind of feel bad for him going into that game, because it's almost like they're set up to fail. Now, I'm not going to say that the Sharks aren't going to win, because you never know in hockey. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but it's just going to be a tough game. So this game, they're playing on Monday and Wednesday, I believe, right? The second game is on Wednesday against them.
Yeah, the second game is on Wednesday.
I'd be happy with a split here. If they can win one of those games, and I don't care how bad they lose one of those games, it's fine. If they can pull out more than 2 points, I'd be extremely happy. If they got 2 points, I'd be happy. I'll say it that way. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you on that one. And that's kind of, in line with the expectations for the season. We're not expecting them to be Stanley Cup finalists. So, a win in game 2 would be great if they're going to get stomped in game 1. But we'll see how that one goes when we get there. But, again, Devin Dubnyk should, and I can't imagine he won't take the net. Not because, Martin Jones got lit up and Martin Jones sucks or whatever. No, I honestly felt like, okay, either Dubnyk's going to get game 2 just because, or if he doesn't get game 2, he'll definitely get game 3, because the entire time they were talking about we're going to need 2 goalies. We have 2 starting goalies in our minds, and that's what the coaching staff feels like. So there's really no reason not to go to Dubnyk. And I think Kurz had said, we'll get to see Dubnyk, and I'm going, well, I feel like we would have seen him anyway, regardless of the outcome. If Martin Jones got a shutout, I feel like we still would have gone with Devin Dubnyk for the first game against St. Louis. Not because they're a harder opponent and he's a better goalie, nothing like that. I just feel like he's the guy that they're saying is also kind of a number one in their eyes, at least. They're going to give him the game. So, I agree with you. It's going to be tough on him, because your first game, you're going to have to go against, a team that won a Stanley Cup fairly recently. Didn't change too much. Now they don't have Tarasenko in the lineup, I believe, if that's correct.
Yeah, he's out for almost the most of the season.
Okay, so they don't know Tarasenko, and maybe that contributed to that 8-0 loss. But still, they're going to come out grinding hard. We all know how St. Louis can play. They're that rough and tumble type of team. They don't mind getting a little dirty. So it's going to be a rough one, and I think the younger guys are going to have their hands full. And maybe Evander Kane will have his hands full as well, having to be the enforcer out there, the snipe enforcer, if you want to call him that. But, so I would say let's look ahead to the next game, but it's against the same opponent. We're going to be saying the same exact things. So kind of interesting this season, Aaron.
I like it. And I think Couture was asked today or after the game if he liked it, and he said he did like it. It's kind of like baseball where they're playing a series, but it's almost like a mini playoffs in a way, because you see the same guys. I also think it's way better for travel. I mean, you're getting 2 games out of the way without leaving anywhere. That's great. I think guys will kind of play fresher in a way, even though they're going to have back-to-backs. It's a lot different when you're not traveling. Imagine they're doing back-to-backs where they would travel. They'd play a game, leave that night, and play the next day. That's rough, man. At least these back-to-backs coming up, I think at the end of February, they have a back-to-back every Friday, Saturday till the rest of the season. It's at the same spot. It's at the same place. So I wouldn't be surprised if the NHL maybe even looks into this and pulls their players. And yeah, right, they don't care about their players. It would be nice to see like maybe a little bit more of this. I know it'd be hard to do in the scheduling just because there's so many games and everybody wants to see every team come through. I remember when the schedule came out and it was a rotating of certain divisions from the Eastern Conference coming here, which was terrible because you'd only see Ovechkin or Crosby once every 3 years, as opposed to seeing them every single year. At that time, this was over a decade ago when I had season tickets. I was really disappointed because I wanted to go see those guys in person. Now, I mean, yeah, I'm a Sharks fan, but I am a hockey fan. I like to see the best of the best, especially when they come through town. So um, I don't think they'll be able to implement this in a way unless they up the number of division games, do a realignment some way, maybe even they get rid of the divisions and they just do Western Conference, Eastern Conference stuff, which I wouldn't mind either. I'm not opposed to that. Yeah, maybe even get rid of it completely. I don't know. Let's get crazy, right?
Okay.
Now we're going off on tangents here.
Well, not really a tangent. I'm going to read Anthony Sanchez here. Blood on the ice on Monday.
Yeah, I think Monday's going to be a dirty game. I think it's going to be dirty because if St. Louis isn't going to start scoring goals, you know what they're going to do, right? They're just going to get dirty
Mix
because
it
they're
up.
going to want to do something. I mean, we talked to Jamie Baker about this when we had him on the show. You guys should check out that interview. He said when he was in a rut, in a scoring rut, what did he do? He would run hills until he, not to get gross, but until he threw up. Like he was just totally exhausted. And then he would outwork every single person. And he would win every faceoff because he was like, if I'm not going to score, I'm going to do something. That's kind of where St. Louis is right now. So it's going to be a very, very tough and rumble game, I think.
Hopefully, that seems like the type of mentality that a guy like Bob Bugner, Rocky Thompson, John Madden, those guys would have had when they played. So hopefully that can kind of percolate down to the rest of the team. Look, if you're not going to put the puck in the net, or if you're not going to be generating offense, you better be doing something defensively. And hopefully they'll go over those finer points, get those guys more up to speed. Again, it's going to take time. But I did see a comment, not in our chat here. Maybe Fin Factor fans are just a little bit brighter than the average duck. But I did see a comment, I think it was on Facebook or Twitter or something, that's saying Bob Bugner is part of the problem. I just do not agree with that whatsoever. I think we got to give them a little bit more time to learn the system better and to put it more into practice again. This is a team that is kind of just meeting each other. A lot of the guys don't really know each other that well. So it'll be a while, I think. And there was another comment yesterday, the more you know. Thank you. There was another comment in here I was going to address, and now I can't find it. Oh, well.
I think it's good practice to just stay off of Facebook.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, here's the comment I was going to read. Andy Mann, are you guys concerned with the apparent lack of trust in the third D pairing through 2 games? They're averaging less than 10 minutes per game, while 88-65 are at 27 plus minutes, 27-9 minutes respectively.
No.
Like we talked about this a little bit already, Andy. If you didn't join at the beginning, that's okay. I'll bring this kind of up again. I don't think it's so much a lack of trust and confidence as it is just they want to ride their stallions, Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns are kind of like the driving offensive force, and they normally soak up a ton of minutes. So when you take those 2 guys, this is why I was saying it doesn't really matter who you have on right D as a third line pairing. He could be a left-handed defenseman because you're only going to go through a handful of minutes where that player is out there. So I don't think it's something that's a lack of confidence necessarily. Having said that, yes, they're both, Knizhov and Middleton do not have any or very little amount of NHL experience. So it certainly does make sense to kind of limit their ice time. Unfortunately, they are partnered together, and therefore it's hard to have a little bit, I guess, just trust there, yes, or between the 2 of them together. So I think it's a combination. Again, they're both very new to the NHL, and you've got 2 guys that are going to soak up so many more minutes regardless. That I think that is definitely a contributing factor to it. So I don't know. It's kind of a little bit of an in-between, but I think it has less to do with a lack of trust and more to do with they just normally would ride Burns and Karlsson anyway. So there's the answer on that one.
Yeah, I think, this goes back to the question, the age-old question of, why don't you move Burns to wing, right? Because you need a right winger. Why don't you do it? He used to be a winger. No, it just doesn't work that way. You want your best players on the ice. He's a defenseman, and defensemen play way more minutes because they're not skating as – it's a different kind of skating. It's a different kind of shape, which is another reason why they won't move Burns back, because he trains completely different to be a winger than he would be for a defenseman. It's a lot different skating, a lot different muscles, a lot different – focus on everything. So you want your best players on the ice. Case in point, Karlsson and Burns are getting close to half an hour every night, half the game on the ice. Now, it's not because the other defensemen are poor, bad. I mean, sure, maybe a little bit of it, but you want those guys on the ice at all times. I mean, I'm just looking at the ice time right now in game one, which is a little skewed because they had a full 5 minutes of overtime. Carlson had 32 minutes, but he had 4 minutes and 3 seconds on the power play and another 4 minutes shorthanded. That's 8 minutes of special teams play. You take that out from the 32, and that's 24 minutes of ice time, 5-on-5 ice time. You look at the other defenseman, Knizhov had no minutes of power play time, so that's why his ice time's lower. Well, I'm just saying, like, whatever. Fine, I'll get on with it.
Before he plays the thing, go ahead, get on with it. What do you want to say next?
You just want your best players on the ice, and that's why they're playing so. I'm not worried about it. They're professionals. They are in shape. They will be fine. If you're worried about them wearing down, I think they'll be fine.
You know, one other thing here, getting Anthony Sanchez bringing up some good points this time around, Anthony. Paul and Aaron, don't forget about the D-Man Shark sign from New Jersey. I'm going to say it wrong. It was either Clayson or Clausen.
Clausen, like the pickle?
I think like the pickle, yeah. Clausen and Pickles, match made in heaven. No, so I think, yeah, definitely. If he was one of those guys that they were, I mean, look, if he was ready, if he was the better option, I'm sure they would have just gone with him, period, right? So either they're giving these younger guys an opportunity early in the season, or they're just, in terms of practice and time that they've had, playing better than Clausen Pickles. That's going to stick now. That's awesome. Pickles and Pickles.
Terrible.
Yeah, no, it's great. I don't even care what you say. So even if I'm saying it wrong, I don't know. But yeah, no, if he was the guy for the job, they would be playing him, I think. Again, maybe in the first couple games they're giving somebody else an opportunity, but I doubt that. I feel like they would just go with the guy because, again, points are points, and points matter right now. So
I think he's having visa problems. I think that's why he's not really even there. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier. The trade deadline is going to be weird this year because of COVID. They're going to have to – you get traded, I think you're going to have to isolate for 2 weeks, depending on where you're going. And how is that going to work for Canada players or Canada teams trading with U.S. teams? Maybe we just don't even see those kinds of trades going through. So I feel like the trade deadline this year is going to be a lot slower than a normal year.
Well, maybe you do see those trades, but those trades have the understanding of you don't get that player for 2 weeks.
Or maybe you see more trades earlier than the deadline.
Yeah. Who knows?
I don't know. All right, top of the hour. Let's do a roll call. Tell us where you're watching from and what you want to see us do for our 100th episode, which is in 2 episodes from now.
Love that. Matt F. saying, back with the dad jokes. Did you expect anything less? Come on, Matt.
We are 2 dads.
Yeah. Get on with it just because I joined, not actually meaning it. Okay. He didn't mean it, Aaron. He didn't mean it. Don't take offense.
Oh, because you just joined. Got it.
All right, very good. So, yeah.
On time, Lundy.
Shouldn't it be Pickles and Kosher? I kind of like that one. That'd be a good nickname.
Better than bread and butter.
Sydney, Australia. We got Chris Sharp. Man, that's awesome, dude. What time is it there in Sydney?
It's tomorrow.
It is tomorrow. He's living in the future. That's awesome. Hey, tell us if the Sharks win against the Blues, will you?
Yeah, let us know tomorrow if the Sharks are going to beat them.
That's why I keep coming back, Matt says. Yes, the dad jokes. We'll try to increase our dad joke game for you. Okay, Matt? There you go. Everett, Prince Alberta. Nice. Holy smokes. NHL 21 24-hour stream. No, Nick, it's not happening. Nick HBK 150. Nick, of course, one of our EA NHL or ESHL players. Phenomenal player. And plays left D / left wing. I say that because he usually jumps up from left D into left wing. And I cover for him, so it's okay. He's a phenomenal talent.
Norris Trophy winning defenseman is his name.
Unless he plays goalie, then he's Vezina Trophy winning goalie. Yeah, good stuff. Anyway, cool.
Oh, we got New Zealand.
How about we talk about Wilson signing players to long-term contracts that take them over 35 years old? What's up with that? Why does he do it?
That's a great question. I saw this written up maybe a couple of weeks ago because for a long time he would not do it. He wouldn't sign players longer than 3, maybe 4-year terms. I kind of like that. I wish it would only be 3 to 4 year terms because when you sign players 7, 8 years, that's I think that's too long. The players kind of get stale. They don't work. Not that they don't work as hard, but they kind of get complacent in a way because they feel like they can't go anywhere, especially when they have a no trade clause attached to it. So I think it's very odd that he had all of a sudden switched, like flipped the switch and started signing players to 7-year deals. I don't like it either. I think the 3 to 4 year deal is enough where first year you're kind of excited. The second year you kind of build on that. The third year you're kind of like, okay, I need to really get my butt in gear. And then that last year, that fourth year, you're kind of like, okay, it's a contract year. I need to really step up and do my thing. Otherwise, I'm either out of this team or I'm playing for my next contract on another team. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of bizarre. It's kind of not what he usually does. And now that it has become what he usually does, it's really bizarre. I don't understand it. I don't like it. What do you think?
I think a lot of it has to do with if you don't sign that player for 7 or 8 years, he'll say, okay, I'll test somebody else. And if you want that player, those are some of the things you're going to have to do. You're going to have to say, okay, fine, I'll give you the 7 or 8 years, or fine, I'll give you 11.5 million. I think that's just kind of what comes with the territory. If you want that guy, then and you really do want him, then those are the types of things you're going to have to do to get him. So it does seem like he does that quite a bit with some of those bigger names. But again, it's because they are those bigger names. It's not like he's offering Stefan Nason 7, 8 years. He's not. I mean, even Hurdle, his last contract wasn't 7, 8 years, right? It was like 5, I think. So when he signed it, I mean to say. So yeah, I mean, it's going to happen with the biggest of big names. I think for the most part, when you see guys that are kind of that middle grade, they're going to get that middle length. What I would like to see, quite frankly, is what was it, the maximum amount of years. I think it was 12, or maybe there wasn't one. And Luongo got a 12-year contract, I think is what I'm thinking of. But I know it's 8 now, and I really wish that would kind of get shrunk down even farther. For those reasons right there, I think it kind of makes it so difficult to sign a player who's saying, well, I want 7 years or I want 8 years. And if you don't give it to me, I know somebody else will. And I wish that it would be a little bit shorter, because 8 years is such a long period of time. I mean, even down to like 5, and you could make the free agency down to 4, right? Like how right now it's at 7. You could just knock it down to 4. I really wish they would do it that way. And I understand that the players maybe want it to be as long as humanly possible, and I get that. But gosh, to sign a guy for 8 years just because he's good now, even at like 30 years old, you're saying I have to pay you until you're 38? Like, who's to say you're going to perform anywhere near the amount or near as well as you do right now? So I would like to see that changed, quite frankly. I would love to see the time get knocked down on that one.
Yeah, I mean, where you actually see the value in those kinds of long contracts with players like Sidney Crosby or Connor McDavid, right? You sign him for the maximum amount that you possibly can that year, because it's based on a percentage of the salary cap for the team. All of a sudden, in 5, 6 years, assuming that the salary cap goes up every single year, you're looking at a bargain. But I think it's such a rare thing, a rare time that you'd use that. There's only a certain set of players, and I'd say maybe the top 5 players in the league that are young enough that you'd be able to sign them for that long, and they wouldn't be over 35 years old. So I don't really like it. I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I remember seeing after the LA Kings won their cups and they started signing these guys to super long contracts, you're like, oh, the writing's on the wall for this team because they're not going to be able to afford anyone. Well, it's kind of what the Sharks have done in the past couple of years. And from the outside looking in, everyone's like, oh, yep, they're going to be screwed with the salary cap when it starts, what the salary cap flattens out, which it did. That's the only way they're going to be getting into trouble. So who knows what's going to happen.
Having said that, and I don't want to get Anthony a shoe thrown at him because I'm about to say a comment from him too, but there could be some possibilities of ways that you could free up some of that cap coming up really soon. So
there also is the expansion draft coming up. So it'll be really interesting to see who the Sharks are going to protect, or even if they are out of the playoffs by the time the trade deadline comes up, who they trade away.
Yes, absolutely.
I got a comment here from Deuces Shoeless I want to highlight, if that's all right. Thoughts on Leonard, because I wanted to talk about him tonight. Been saying since last year that he was going to have an impact. I like his game a lot. I was kind of shocked going into, I guess, game 1 that he was going to be on the second line and not the third line. But I think so far he looks like he fits in. I thought that was going to be Donato's spot, and they switched him up a week ago, I think, the last week in camp or so. and it's worked. And I think he is a great player, and I think he's going to be sticking with the team long term. And I mean, into the future, in a couple of years, he's going to be a second line guy. That's going to be a good, hardworking scorer. And again, he kind of reminds me of Pavelski, but I think he skates a lot better than Pavelski, which isn't saying much because almost everybody skates better than Pavelski. Not to knock on him, he's just not a great skater, but he's got that hockey IQ that you can't really teach. And I feel like Leonard kind of has that.
And let that be a lesson to anybody who says you have to be a fast skater to make it in the NHL. Joe Pavelski is doing just fine. He's not the best of skaters, but he uses the other talents that he has to the best of his ability and to the best of the teams. And at least when he was on the Sharks, the more you know. When he was on the Sharks, at least he certainly did that. So I want to highlight something else a little bit underneath the comment you just had there. Invite Sanchez from Patrick Cabral. Invite Sanchez to video in with his comments for the next episode. Apparently, they're liking Anthony Sanchez. I think maybe it's just a way to shelter him from getting a shoe thrown at him. Maybe if he's on the stream and talking, that a shoe won't go flying across the screen and hit him in the head, because then we'd have video evidence. Although Anthony did say, I'd be cool with being on the show. Interesting. Matt F says, do a shooting accuracy challenge for the 100th. Whoever loses can't shave for the rest of the season. I'm sorry to say this, Aaron, but you would not be shaving for the rest of the season. I'm not the most accurate, but I at least can shoot.
Way more than me.
Yes.
I don't actually play hockey. I don't know if everyone knows that. I've never really played.
You know, it would be interesting, though. We'll get a soccer net, okay? You kick, and we'll aim for corners, and I'll shoot, and we'll aim for corners.
I bet I could beat you on that.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
You probably would, because I'm not used to shooting at a goalie net. That's a little outside.
Do you have any idea how hard you can shoot the puck? Have you ever done it like on a radar machine or anything?
Oh, no idea. Not that fast for sure.
What do you think? 50?
I'd be happy with like 60.
Because I've shot a soccer ball at 60 miles an hour.
Really?
That'd be
Hey, wait a minute, Matt. We might have something here, buddy. We might have something here.
You know what I mean? Like, you see how hard you can. Anyone got a radar gun?
I don't know. That would be awesome. Let's see.
Get on with it.
Yes, get on with it.
Get on with it.
Yes, thank you, Super Producer Jason. Trade Burns for Braun. That has to be Lundy. Yep. Doug Wilson trying to prevent turning into the A's, and I don't know about baseball, so I'm gonna skip that comment. Yeah, I don't know. Any other comments in here that you really, really like? Ooh, do you think we'll see Melnichuk sooner rather than later? No.
I think we'll see Dubnyk sooner than later. I think they want to see what Dubnyk can do. The tandem of Dubnyk and Jones for the year. So, and don't forget, like, one of those guys, even Dubnyk, could be traded at the deadline. What if a team's goalie gets hurt or gets COVID and can't recover or something? Like, and they need another backup / experienced goalie that could be a 1A, 1B. That could be a realistic possibility. So, no, I don't think we'll see Melnichuk unless it gets towards the end of the season and the Sharks are way out of it. Then they'll probably want to see what they got, or if one of those guys gets traded.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think they ride the two that they have right now in Jones and Dubnyk, and I think Melnichuk gets some quality time on the taxi squad. You know, being able to practice with the team and whatnot. But I don't think he's going to get a look just yet, unless one of them absolutely falls apart. But, we'll see. Who knows? There's the sign of a couple guys who are absolutely fans of the show. Anthony Sanchez, do a smelling salt challenge for the 100th episode. Who faints loses.
That sounds terrible.
Well, apparently, according to Sonic Tonic, that was amazing. And I'm guessing it would be amazing if we attempted that again. So, that's not.
I think I do have. I asked Jason, our super producer, to put this up. I don't know if he did it, but there's a picture. I was going to try and do a picture of me and Paul from when we were kids on every show. Oh, so yeah. I had another one here. Do you have it up, Jay? Or do you have it ready to go or not? Here we go. There we go. Boom. Look at that. I think this was fourth grade because my teeth are so messed up. And I think that was in fourth grade. So there's Paul's semi-bowl cut that's curled over, looks like a little bit, with those styling shirts. Look at those things. It's also in that's in my parents' 80s Astrovan. That was the brown Astrovan. You remember that, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And it was actually at my grandparents' house. I could see that in the background. That's where it was. Who knows what we were doing there? But
were we dressed up for church or something?
I don't know. Something.
Dude.
We came from somewhere. Because my hair was kind of done there. Not really.
Well, he's got big teeth and he's got hair. There you go, folks. That's what you wanted. That's what you tuned in for. Looking slick, Sonic Tonic. Thanks a lot with your sarcastic, you know what.
That was fourth grade. We were roughly 10 years old. That would have been like 91, 92. That's like right when the Sharks first started. Right around there. That's kind of what I was going for. Pictures around when the Sharks started.
I'm going to say this right here. Guys, if you enjoyed the stream, please do obviously commenting, which is awesome. And we do appreciate all the comments because that's kind of what makes this show go as we go later and later into it. We get to see what you guys think and hear your opinions and kind of address some of those thoughts and concerns. And it's just fun for us and kind of keeps us on our toes with topics that we haven't thought about. So we do appreciate you guys doing that. Obviously, if you guys are not subscribed, we don't put out content unless there's content to put out. We're not the type that just kind of keeps bombarding you with garbage, right? So the people that were subscribed to us the entire time here would know that over that 10 months of off time, we really only did kind of a show here and there. We didn't bombard with a whole bunch of useless stuff. So, if you want to go ahead and subscribe to us, we would love to have you as part of the Fin Factor family. I'm going to coin that phrase. Smash that like button. Thank you, Sonic Tonic. Yes, absolutely. So don't break your keyboards, please. I don't want to be responsible for that one. It was Sonic who said it, not me. Again, thank you guys so much for all the comments and whatnot. And, obviously, if you did like the stream and you want to support the show, help us keep the LED ring lights on. Please feel free to head over to thefinfactor.com. We do have some very plush, nice shirts in multiple sizes, multiple colors, as well as the hats, which have the snapback. So it's kind of a one size fits all, unless you have a size 8 or above head. Somebody was saying that it doesn't fit them. I think they have hat extenders you can get, though. That'll help you out. There you go, Aaron. Got the gray going on.
Very soft.
It's super soft. I've washed mine a bunch of times, and it's still really soft.
Mm-hmm.
So in any case, if you do happen to pick up one of those shirts or hats or stickers even, please feel free to share that with us. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Go ahead and tag us so we see it. We would love to get a collection of pictures of people who have got our gear. We've already got quite a few of them because folks have actually listened after they've bought the gear there and shot something back to us. So it was really cool to see everybody kind of enjoying wearing the hats, wearing the shirts, putting stickers on their canteens or whatever it is. So again, if you do would like to support the show, please feel free to pop over there. We didn't get any super chat tonight. That's okay. We appreciate it every time regardless. So feel free to do that as well. If you're willing to shut out a couple bucks next stream, that would help us out as well. So Aaron, anything else you want to cover, or are we all done here?
Lundy asked if we're still in our garages. Yes, I am. Paul is
not. I'm in a true studio, my friend. It's Studio C. It's the more you know. It's the room downstairs. That's all it is.
The Stu studio.
Totally. This is not a teal screen. This is a green screen. I'm giving you guys some tips. Get a green screen if you're planning on doing some YouTube stuff. Okay. We all good then?
All good.
Very good. Guys, it was so much fun. Thanks again for all the comments. We look forward to seeing you the next time around, which again, Aaron, I think we're doing this after every 2-game series.
Right. So let's talk about that, our schedule. We're going to do a show. It's not going to be a regular night because what we're going to do is after the second game of every series, we'll do a live. So most of them are going to be 9 o'clock at night, unless the Sharks games are going a little bit later, then we'll go after the Sharks game. So be on the lookout after the second game of every series. We will be doing a live show.
One thing I want to point out here, Ricky says, set up an alternative. People don't like giving Google money. Okay. Maybe we can look into doing like a Patreon kind of thing or something. is that something you guys would even be interested in? Feel free, as the show is kind of ending, if you put in the comments or the live chat, or if you're watching this on replay, if you put in the comments down there, is that something you guys might be interested in? We can maybe think of some ways doing some extra content for you guys. Everybody wants Marshall back, apparently. I don't know if before Aaron, last time it was Aaron that got bumped off the show, and everybody seemed pretty happy with it. So, Venmo, okay, thanks. Yeah, so maybe we'll find some other way of allowing you guys, I guess, to contribute to the show without giving Google money, I suppose. I don't know. So let us know if that's something you guys might be interested in. So cash out. Great. Okay, we'll look into something. We'll talk to Super Producer Jason. And on that note, for Super Producer Jason, I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
We will see you guys
about a week.
2 games. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, check out our other content, especially interviews. You can interact with us directly through social media at The Fin Factor and on Instagram at Fin Factor. And don't forget to join our live streams on YouTube.
Visit our website at thefinfactor.com, where you'll find all of our episodes as videos or podcasts. You'll also find our exclusive merchandise to help support our show.